Hello and welcome to the Legal Spell. We are here today with expert Nevelyn Queen. How are you doing today, Nevelyn?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How about you?
I'm great. Shall we get started?
Yeah, of course.
Today we will be discussing the landmark case R.V. Lavallée. To start, would you like to share a description of this case, Nevelyn?
Sure. R.V. Lavallée involved Angelique Lavallée, who shot her partner in the back of the head after years of verbal and physical abuse. On that night, after an argument where he threatened her life, she believed her life was in danger and acted in what she perceived as self-defense. She was charged with second-degree murder because her partner was not actively attacking her at that moment. He was leaving the room, and the Crown argued that the threat wasn't imminent. This case highlights the tension between traditional self-defense laws and lived experiences of abuse survivors, especially in this case of long-term domestic violence. The concept of battered woman syndrome, or BWS, was central because it helped explain why Lavallée felt she was in immediate danger even when the threat wasn't physically imminent.
Wow, it's surprising she was charged. Were there any legal issues supporting the second-degree murder charge?
Yes, under Section 34 of the Criminal Code, a person can use force to defend themselves if they are reasonably believe that they are in danger. However, the law usually requires the threat to be imminent. Since Lavallée shot her partner while he was leaving the room and had only uttered a threat, the Crown argued that she could not claim self-defense.
A threat? What did he say exactly?
Well, her partner, Kevin Russ, said, "Either you kill me or I'll get you."
Oh, I see why she was scared.
Exactly.
Very interesting. This case is well known for its connection to battered woman syndrome. And battered woman syndrome results from severe long-term domestic abuse and is even considered a subcategory of post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Yes, that's correct. Battered woman syndrome is a subcategory to PTSD that develops in victims of long-term abuse. It can drastically change how a person perceives danger. In Lavallée's case, BWS meant she lived in constant fear and felt that her life was at risk even when her partner was leaving the room. This explains why she acted in self-defense, even though the immediate threat didn't meet the traditional legal definition of imminent.
So what impact did battered woman syndrome have in Lavallée's trial?
It was crucial. A psychiatrist testified that Lavallée's actions were consistent with someone suffering from battered woman's syndrome. This helped explain her state of mind and why she perceived her partner as an immediate threat. The Crown challenged this as hearsay because it was based on what she told the psychiatrist rather than the official medical records, but it still provided an essential context for understanding her fear and her response.
Wow, it wasn't considered valid evidence? Mind going into a bit more detail about that?
The Crown argued that the psychiatrist's evidence was not valid because it depended mostly on Lavallée's own description of the abuse, and there was no proof to support it. During the trial, the defense psychiatrist formed his opinion based largely on what Lavallée and others had told him about the years of violence in her relationship. However, Lavallée herself did not testify in court, and those statements were not presented through other evidence such as police records, medical records, or other witness testimonies that the jury could examine directly. In evidence law, statements made outside the courtroom and used to prove that something is true is usually considered hearsay. Hearsay is viewed cautiously because the person who made the statement is not in the courtroom under oath and cannot be cross-examined. The Crown argued that without the independent information of the abuse, the psychiatrist's opinion was based on unproven claims and could unfairly influence the jury since it might be treated as factual proof rather than expert interpretation.
What do you think about that? Do you agree with the validity of that evidence?
I do agree battered woman syndrome is key to understanding why survivors of long-term abuse may act in ways that seem premature to someone outside the situation. Lavallée's fear was real, shaped by years of trauma, and expert testimony on battered woman syndrome allowed the court to evaluate her self-defense claim more fairly.
I agree. I feel that her fear and her condition is understandable and should be seen as self-defense. Now, with this in mind, could you go into some detail on how this case changed Canadian law and society?
Absolutely. Before this case, self-defense law focused on sudden confrontations, often from a male perspective. Lavallée shifted the focus to include the ongoing effects of abuse, and battered woman syndrome helped society and courts recognize why victims might stay in abusive relationships. It highlighted fear, helplessness, and the psychological impact of long-term abuse. Today, courts consider battered woman syndrome to treat survivors of domestic violence with greater understanding, acknowledging the unique circumstances they face.
Wow, that is great to hear. I see it really changed how the law views victims of domestic abuse. Now, I have some questions regarding what others may think. Some may argue that battered woman syndrome as a form of self-defense may excuse unjust murders. Personally, I disagree, as everyone's case is different. I feel that battered woman syndrome supporting self-defense only recognizes victims of domestic abuse and gives them the escape or support they need. What do you think about this?
I disagree with that argument. Recognizing battered woman syndrome doesn't excuse murder. It provides context for understanding fear and perceived danger. Each case is different. Lavallée helps society see that women experiences with abuse are real, and their actions are often survival responses, and that the justice system should consider this rather than punish them for reacting to prolonged trauma. It's a positive step for both law and society.
Yeah, I completely agree. This case seems to be very crucial in changing how the justice system views survivors of domestic abuse. Thank you, Nevlin, for your incredible insights and knowledge. I've definitely learned a lot today and really appreciate you coming here.